So this morning on the pre-market live stream, we talked about how the S&P 500 had broken the 200 SMA on the daily chart and also broke above a previous double top rejection point. Now, we talked about how when we get a big move like we did yesterday on the market, we should always anticipate some type of pullback, some type of retest of the previous breakout point. On the S&P 500, it was the 200 SMA as well as the 40-50 level, which were both right next to each other this morning as the market started to trade. So in the pre-market live stream, we said how we would love to see a pullback down to the 40-50 level, the 200 SMA, and then look to go long off that level, looking for a bounce to come in off that 200 SMA. So intraday today, we got that pullback to that 200 SMA, that 40-50 level, and when I started to see this happen, I had to put some risk on the table. This was my game plan coming into the day, and I had to stick to that plan, and I caught this trade live to share with you guys today. Before we jump into the analysis today on this trade and the live recording, I quickly want to run a clip from this morning's pre-market live stream to share with you guys what we talk about in those live streams. You can go ahead and skip this part of the video if you don't want to watch, but I think it is valuable to see what this looked like before if you did miss the live stream, so you can see how this analysis went down in the pre-market and how I sort of built my plan around this trade. 30-minute chart, you guys can see we are right up at that downtrend. The thing that I am looking for more than anything here, guys, I think the most important thing, not even the downtrend, it is the retest of the 200 SMA. That is the most important thing in my opinion here. If you get a pullback, which you should get a pullback on this market. If you get a pullback on this market, which you should, right? There's no doubt about that. You should always get pullbacks after a move like this. So if you get a pullback, which I would hope we do, you need to see if we hold 40-50 right here. This is what is important. You have the 200 SMA at 40-50, and you have a previous double top at 40-50. This area right here is more important than anything else. Because if we get a pullback here and we do not hold it, right? If we get a pullback and we do not hold this and we start to turn the 200 into a rejection again, then that is your first sign that we could start getting that leg lower. All right? That is the telltale sign. If we start to see this and we get that break of the 200 and then we get that rejection of the 200 and we start to see some weakness step into this market, right? That is your sign that things could start to get weak. If we get a pullback to the 200, right, and the 40-50 level, what this could also set up is very aggressive bears, right, that are getting irrationally aggressive here on the downside to step into new shorts for a hold of the previous highs and then another squeeze to the upside, right? I'm not short until we break this 200 SMA to the downside. That's how I would look at this market. A strong move on the market requires pullbacks, right? Requires these levels to act as support, requires, stair-stepping levels to the upside. So that's what I would watch for today. All right, guys, so now that you watched that pre-market clip and sort of what we talked about in the pre-market, let's go ahead and review what this looks like now and how I sort of built this trade, how I set it up. And then after, of course, we'll do the live recording so you can see my executions on that trade. So coming into today, you guys know we got that big push to the upside on the ES, on everything, right? The NASDAQ, the ES, everything pushed to the upside after we got Jerome Powell yesterday. We broke that 200 SMA. The 200 SMA is the red line that is coming across your screen here. We went ahead and we broke that. That is a very major breakout for the market. It's something we have not seen pretty much for all of this year. So we got that breakout of the 200 SMA. Not only that, we broke this previous double top on the ES right around this 40-50 level. So we had a previous rejection here, a previous rejection here. We broke it along with the 200 SMA, and we went ahead and we stalled around this long-term downtrend. So, of course, after today, we are still under that long-term downtrend. If I go to the daily chart, you can see we are still below that long-term downtrend. That is something we definitely have to watch in the upcoming days. But for the trade today, if we go back to the hourly chart, we can see that we got that break. Now, if you watch my channel, if you know anything about me, you know when we get a breakout of key levels, I want to see that previous rejection turn into support. I want to see that break and that retest. And I want to look to see if I can go long on the retest of a previous rejection. So we had that previous rejection here. We broke it. And this morning, as I talked about in the live stream, I want to see the retest. I want to see the pullback, and I want to see if buyers step in at that previous rejection point, turning it into support. So if I break this down to the 1 minute chart, you can see this morning we pushed higher, but we ultimately rejected at that long-term downtrend, and we pushed to the downside. Now, I didn't catch this downside trade, which I probably should have. I think I was just more focused on what is going to happen at that 200 SMA. I missed this quick downside move, and on the live trading in the Discord, I was saying be careful continuing to short this move. We have to be aware of that 200 SMA down below. We have to be aware of that potential break and retest on the upside. We had a previous rejection point at 40.50 that we broke above. We have the 200 SMA at 40.50, which we are still trading above. So we can't get too bullish on the downside until we get some confirmation that we're actually going to break below the 200 SMA. So after seeing this quick move to the downside, I wasn't as interested. I didn't feel like my risk or reward was there. I could have caught some of this. I missed it. What I was interested at this point was, are we going to hold this 40-50 area? Are we going to hold the 200 SMA, which is right here on your screen? So you can see we came down to this level. We caught a little bit of an inverse head and shoulder, and I started to go long, and I started to accumulate some call options here looking for an upside move. Now, in this scenario, I start to scale in because I'm not trying to time the exact bottom, right? I have a general idea of where I think the bottom could come in. I have a general idea of where that demand is coming in, around that 40-50, around that 200 SMA. So you'll see on my live recording and my entries and exits that I was scaling into this trade, looking to see if I could catch that turn off that 200 SMA. And you can see here that we did eventually consolidate at that 200 SMA, and we started to get that push where I started to scale out on this push right here. I was scaling out up here as we started to get the push. One of my scale outs was right here, which was the VWAP. You guys can see on your screen, the gray line is the VWAP, and one of my last scale outs was right up here as we started to approach that. I don't like to try to trade through VWAP. As you guys can see, the ES struggled there pretty much all day. It sort of hovered around this VWAP line. So I figured, okay, let me go ahead and start to scale out as we approach that VWAP level, and you will see this all in the live recording. So today, I was focused on that 200 SMA, right? This was my game plan from the pre-market live stream in the live trading. Let's see what happens when we get that pullback. We got that pullback to the 200. We saw that we started to consolidate around that level. I started to get some call contracts at this level for a pushback off that level there. Another thing I really liked about this trade was there was a very clear stop loss level, right? I knew exactly where I was going to stop out if I was wrong. No questions about it, no emotions. If we broke the 200 SMA, I am out of this trade regardless of what happens. So you can see I started to scale in. You'll see it in the live recording. I started to scale in with my stop loss right under this 40-50 level, a distinct level that I have a game plan on. No emotions. Take your loss at that level if we break below it. And if we do get a move to my favor to the upside, scale out as you get that push. So with that analysis out of the way and understanding of what I was looking for on this trade and sort of the game plan behind it, let's go ahead and run that live recording so you guys can see my entries, my exits, and some of my thoughts that I was sharing with the Discord chat live as I was trading this setup. All right, guys, I'm going to do something. I wouldn't recommend it if you can't, afford risk here, but I'm going to take some SPY calls here. This is exactly the pullback. This is exactly the pullback I was looking for. So I'm not gonna watch this happen and not put a little bit of risk on the table. So I'm gonna buy some. I'm in some 406 SPY calls. I mean, this is exactly what I talked about. I got to stick to what I talked about there. This is exactly what I looked for, the pullback to the retest levels in the 200 SMA. A little bit concerned about this little top here at 40.65 on ES. You can see we did get a little stuck there. We get the 40.65. If we can get that break, I like this. This should give me a little bit of momentum here. Maybe a little inverse head and shoulder forming here at the lows. That might have been your right shoulder there. So my price target should be 40.72. So I'm going to look to take some off, I believe, at 40.72. Because that is the pre-market low, and that is very potentially a rejection point here. All right, I'm taking half off right there. up 750. All right, guys, this is looking good. Anyone take this with me? Congratulations. You should be well in the profit. I think I got to take a little bit more off on that push, guys. This is due for a pullback. I'm going to take another half off. If we get a pullback, it should come to 40.72. That's likely where it comes down to. That might be your it'll pull back to there, guys. I can almost guarantee it. All right, I'm going to take a little bit more off here, guys, at VWAP on the ES. As long as we're above that previous pivot low, then I have no concerns. All right, guys, so I hope you did enjoy that live recording. I hope you did enjoy the trade that I'm sharing with you guys today. Keep an eye on that 200 SMA moving forward. I think this is a very influential level over the next few days, over the next few weeks. How does the market respond? Does it hold this 200? Do we get the breakdown below? I think this is sort of the middle of the seesaw for the S&P 500. A break below the 200 probably gets the bears getting the momentum. If we stay above it, I think the bulls can continue to build above that 200 SMA. If you guys want to stay updated with my analysis on the market, make sure to come to the pre-market live streams every single morning starting at 8 a.m. where I go over the futures, individual stocks, economic news coming out, a good way to prepare yourself for the upcoming trading day. With that said, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Once again, press that like button if you did, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.